Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. So today's podcast, it's not a Love Island podcast, it's something different. Obviously the hot topic today on Twitter is the whole Mario Lopez situation and how he basically said that we shouldn't be encouraging young kids to be transgender, and how at like a young age, he said 3, but I've seen like loads of other topics like, 5-year-old trans kids, 7-year-old trans kids, so I'm just assuming he means young children. At that age, they don't have the majority to choose their own gender. So that's kind of the debate that was going on. I do have some guests today.
What is my?
Hello, Shannon Show listeners.
Your favourite person is back. Who is Mario Lopez, Shannon? Please let everybody know.
Mario Lopez is AJ Slater on Saved by the Bell.
Oh, AJ Slater.
The guy with the haircut.
One with the muscles.
With the muscles, yeah.
Basically, this is what he said.
Oh, you pulling up the script?
Yeah. So he was on Candace Owens show. She's like a conservative commentator. She's been up there like in the Black Trump supporters.
Oh, is he a Black Trump supporter?
I don't know if Mario Lopez is a Trump supporter, but the show that he was on, the host is a Trump supporter. And basically, she must have said that it's a weird trend that celebrities are allowing their children to choose their gender identity. She said she was a nanny, and she said that children do not, she used to be a nanny, and that children do not possess the mental authority to express gender identity different than the one that they were assigned at birth, and compared children claiming transgender identity to them pretending to be a superhero or mermaid, and is a childhood act of make-believe. And then Lopez responded saying, "I'm blown away too. I'm never one to tell anyone how to parent their kids. Obviously, I think if you come from a place of love, you really can't go wrong. But at the same time, my God, if you're a 3-year-old child and you're saying you're feeling a certain way, or you think you're a boy or a girl or whatever that may be the case, I just think it's dangerous as a parent to make that determination. It's sort of alarming, and my gosh, I think about the repercussions later on."
Facts.
So obviously there's been some debate about that.
I think that's straight facts.
Let me just say the intro and then you can start off with your opinion, okay? I just like to make some like key points here. So obviously sex and gender are different. So sex are like the categories that humans can be identified with their chromosomes. So XY identifies males, XX for females, and then gender is the social categorization of the sexes, aka man, woman. But in modern days, it's kind of been broadened to like intersex, which are people who have like both characteristics of male and females naturally, and non-binary people who don't identify as a specific gender at all. And then another key word is cis, which is somebody who identifies with the gender they were assigned with. So if you were assigned male at birth, you identify as a man. And then there's trans, as somebody who doesn't identify with the gender they were assigned at birth. So for instance, a trans woman would be assigned male at birth, but then decides that she identifies as a woman, and vice versa. Gender awareness typically occurs at 2 years old. By 4 you have a stable sense of gender, and usually if a child is to come out as trans, you'll usually see like resistance to their assigned gender around 5 years old onwards.
Can I just ask a question on that?
Yeah.
So, what does if someone wants to assign themselves a new gender, for example, what is the protocol for them to be able to go and say, all right, I'm this now? Is there like some sort of...
In the UK, if you wanted to actually change your documents on your gender, you'd have to prove that you were living as that gender for a year.
But how can you go to someone and say I did, like, can I wake up tomorrow and just be like, in my heart feel like I'm a woman, and just be like, I identify as a woman now? This late, or is it more to it than that? Do I have to go through more things?
This late, usually you would know younger down the line. You wouldn't wake up suddenly now and think, I'm not a man anymore. Maybe your sexuality,
because a lot of this stuff I've never heard. You know what I'm saying? You were talking about a lot of stuff that I've never heard before.
Yeah, but
this is new things that are coming out. So these are new people feeling new things.
Yeah, but you're cis though. you've identified with your assigned gender.
I know. I'm just saying that you named probably about 6 or 7 different things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some of which I've never heard. Some of them I heard recently in the last 2-3 years.
What one are you confused about?
Quite a few of those, to be fair. Like, I just don't understand. I'm just sort of trying to think in my head, like, how someone can wake up the next day. Not the next day, but how like, in the last 2 years, people are all of a sudden just coming out and being all these different characters.
Yeah, but a lot of these people, like, especially, like, characters, a lot, like, say, for instance, Caitlyn Jenner, she said that she always was trans, but obviously...
She suppressed it because of society.
Yeah, society, and how she was.
You know, she became a dad... and it just got too far for her to be able to come out. So, you know, she until she got to a point where, you know, when you get older, you start to realise what life is really about. It's all about shit, and you've just got to live in your truth and be happy.
Yeah, I mean, just to go to the main point where this Lopez guy was saying, like, I don't think he said anything wrong in that, because the first thing that he addressed is that everything is done with love. So he didn't come with no malicious intent from the jump. He made sure he was clear in saying that everything I'm saying now was to do with love. And he expressed that this person is 3 years old. Let's deep the age. 3 years old.
But I think that was an exaggeration.
Yeah, an exaggeration, but we're talking about children at the same time. We're talking about people under a certain age.
Let's up the age, because typically when the child starts showing resistance, like obvious resistance, and saying, I'm not a boy anymore, I'm not a girl anymore, that's usually around 5 years old. So let's up it to 5.
Okay, even 5. Like, 5 is a year where people are being creative, you know what I'm saying? When I was 5 years old, you know, I wanted to be Billy Piper, do you know what I'm saying? Because I was watching Billy Piper on the TV, I'm hearing, because you had to. You know, I was getting into that song, and I used to think, I want to be Billy Piper. But it doesn't mean I'm transgender now, I want to be a female. Do you know what I'm saying? But if there was, you know... But what I'm saying is that if there was... like TV shows or these adverts and people discussing, it's okay to pretend that you to feel like you're a woman. It's okay to do this kind of stuff. I will feel confused as fuck. Like, you know what? Maybe I want to be. Maybe I will become Billy Piper. Maybe I'm gonna change my hair and start calling myself Billy. Do you know what I'm saying? And it will just confuse me, because obviously I know I'm not trans. I'm not a woman. But in that time of my life, going back to a 5-year-old me with all this new information going on, that would just, you know, confuse the hell out of people, you know what I'm saying? I feel like if people want to become transgender or whatnot, identify as if they have these feelings or something like that, like, I don't think it's something to introduce to young children from 5 or something. I think it's something that people should be discussed when you get to secondary school. When you get to secondary school, these people's minds are more developed. These people are, you know, they have the sex education and stuff when you get to like that sort of age anyway. And then you start, you know, talking about these different, these different feelings within you if you identify this and or that. But I think being 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, that's still hella young.
And specifically being taught about genders and things like that, and not being actually talked about sex education and all that kind of stuff. I think it all kind of falls into like the same category. Of course, you should be preaching 100%, be yourself, and you know, if you're a parent and you have a child and you're identifying certain behaviours that you might make you think, you know, my child might be identifying as something other than they were assigned with at birth, then yes, you should do your best to make your child comfortable and feel at ease. But specifically teaching children at such a young age about a specific side of sexuality, and not teaching them everything in that category, it's a bit like, is there an agenda here or isn't there an agenda?
Oh, there's definitely an agenda.
But it wouldn't be one-sided though. Why would you assume it'd be one-sided?
No, like in year 6 at 11 years old, we get talked about the birds and the bees, sex education comes into play. I think that will be an appropriate time where, you know, you're of age and you can then, you know...
But I feel like a lot of people, like you say, you've done this, you keep going back to the sex education argument. Do you feel like it's on the same level, sexuality and gender, even though they're two different things?
Yeah, I think it is kind of on the same level, to be fair.
I think it's at a time, especially now, maybe when I was in school and I was in year 6 in the early 2000s, and the teacher started talking about, you know, gender and sexuality in that aspect, everyone would be like, but what people need to understand is a lot of people are happy to live in this progressive world society that we live in right now, but a lot of people didn't necessarily come from that progressive society.
Yeah, I definitely
Mario Lopez, he grew up in the 80s, and in Hollywood and the entertainment industry is different. A lot of people are open about their sexuality within the industry, but to the outside world they're trying to keep up with an image to contribute to whatever agenda the media is selling at the time. The media and the government and everybody themselves, in terms of portraying, what we should be on the outside around that time, was very anti-gay. Very. It's only now they want to promote.
Keep saying anti-gay. It's not a gay issue. It's a gender issue.
I know it's a gender issue. I'm just talking about that time and the state at that time. Nobody even knew. Not a lot of people like you and I and stuff back in those times didn't really know about transgender, everything. Everybody was calling transgender people drag queens or, someone who likes to dress up as a woman or something. It didn't have that term. It didn't have the support behind it. And that's how everybody grew up, and everyone was taught to kind of dislike this community because it didn't fit in with the Bible, because we was a predominantly Christian country. I don't know what we are now, according to whoever's making up the rules. But, a lot of people, even myself, struggled a lot with having certain views that I was conditioned to have. And the thought, moving into this new progressive world, it was like a shock at the beginning, because it was like, do you know what I mean? And you find yourself stumbling in conversation or butting heads with people because you have these views that you've been conditioned to have, and people are now telling you, no, you need to think like this. The bottom line anyway is we should just all taught to be comfortable within ourselves and to love people no matter what. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. So there is going to obviously be arguments in that sense. But I think, where I say we should, in year 6, the conversation of, because that's when it comes up, social science and all these kind of matters to do with everything in the social aspect of beings comes around that 10, 11 age when they start to, and I feel that that's the appropriate time to start bringing up these conversations, maybe people understand. I feel like at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, you just need to be living your best life, honey. You got the rest of your life to be an adult, have problems, bills, figure out who you are and all these kind of things. These are the first years of your life, and they should just be stress-free to the max. Nobody should tell you shit. Someone should just be giving you a freaking toy and sherbet and Coca-Cola, and you just live your best ignorant life until you get to year 6.
You know what? I think this is just a whole agenda on behalf of the LGBT community.
Shannon's like, why did you bring him into the shot?
Let me say my piece, because you guys have been talking a lot.
I like what Jared said. I don't think it was like an agenda where to make people hate them. I just think it was like
it was, even when I was
watching dangerous.
I was watching like a
that
Friends.
Was very loaded. I said dangerous.
What?
He said it was dangerous.
Remember the Friends episode I was watching the other day, and there was a lot of talk about
to allow children to choose their gender.
It was a 90s show, Friends. Yeah. And I think I was watching the episode the other day, you must have heard it in the background, and it was all kind of talking about, if a guy is sensitive, he must be gay, or he must be bisexual, and he must be, do you get what I'm saying? All these kind of things to kind of take away people's masculinity if they have these certain emotions which aren't typically identified with as male. And that was in a very, very popular late 90s, early 2000s show. So that is an example of the way the media and all these kind of things was trying to shape people's opinions to steer them into a negative kind of way of thinking when it came to that community.
So my thing is, even the word encouraging and stuff like that, I feel like that's very coded and very loaded. And I think that most of the time when it comes to transgender kids, people aren't sitting down, they're oblivious kids, and saying, what gender do you identify with? Are you sure you want to be a girl? Are you sure you're not trans? I think most of the time it's when the child has come to them and say, I don't want to be a boy anymore. I don't want to be a girl. I don't feel right wearing these dresses. I want to cut my hair. I want to grow my hair out. And I think that's when the argument even still comes in, that they still are too young to know for sure. They're too young to make this drastic change. Mm-hmm. But I feel like at the same time, you should still, what is, talking about it'll be harmful effects to let them be trans. And I feel like when lots of people, I feel like they kind of think like, if you were to say, okay, yes, you can be a trans person now, they think, okay, tomorrow we're going to get you hormones, the next day you're getting a sex change surgery, when that isn't the case. Most of the time you can't even be on even blockers for puberty, and that is even just blockers. And then in the UK you can't be on hormones. That is like a substantial like commitment. You can't be on hormones till you're 16, and then you have to live on hormones for a year, and then in the UK at 18 you can have your sex change surgery. So even before that, so let's say that is like, say, till 11, even if they were trans, they wouldn't be able to do anything permanent at that point. And I just feel like if your child is coming to you, they're really upset, they're being really depressed, I don't see the harm in letting them at least explore their feelings. Because I feel like things even like tomboys are accepted. So if you had a daughter, she was Samantha, she's saying she wants to go by Tom now, she wants to wear what's considered boy clothes, she wants to play with what's considered boy toys. Now she says, I don't want to be a boy, I don't want to be a girl anymore, can you refer to me as he, identify as he now? How is that now an extreme jump?
Because they've come the next day and said I don't want to be a boy anymore, stop buying me.
No, I'm not saying the next day, I'm saying they've been a tomboy for like a year. So 5, they came to you saying, I want to shorten my name now from Samantha to Sam. They want to wear boy clothes, they want to play with what's considered boy toys. And then a year later they say, I want to be a boy, can you refer to me as he? Would that be such a big of a jump, considering there's no hormones or sex change surgery involved?
How old is this person?
So let's say at 5 they come and tell you.
At 5? No.
The daughter has come to you saying,
no,
can you refer to me as Sam now? You've named the daughter Samantha.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You would say, that's what you would say.
No, you don't know what you're talking about.
You said no, you're going to tell them no. So and then now they're rebelling against you.
She's 5 years old.
They're refusing to birth.
Stop talking over each other. Just let her finish her sentence.
So you said no. But you've already said your bit. This is my point and you've interjected. So I've allowed you to interject, so I'm going to carry on now. So you said no, you tell them no, you can't be Sam. And you can't wear the boy clothes.
5 years old is what school
if they said to you, I want to be referred to as Sam now and I want to wear boy clothes, you tell them no.
What's that, reception, right?
Yeah.
So this person is still learning how to read. This person doesn't even know how to do their multiplications. This person barely knows anything about life, but yet she knows that she wants to be a boy.
I'm telling you, in the scenario,
the human mind is not even developed yet. She can't read.
Your child who was assigned female has come to you saying, Dad, can you call me Sam now, and I want to wear boy clothes.
I'll call her Sam, I'll buy her boy clothes, but she's not a boy. You're not a boy.
Would you let her explore that?
I'll say, if you want to wear boy clothes, you can be a tomboy. Girls are tomboys.
Would you let her explore it? Yes or no? Is the answer yes or no?
Huh?
Would you let
I said I will
explore.
I said I'll buy her boy clothes. I'll call her Sam, but she's a girl. You know what I'm saying?
You would tell her she's a girl, but she's happy
she's
wearing.
A girl.
She's happy wearing the boy clothes. She's happy going by Sam. She's asking to shave her head. 6 months after.
Yeah, I'll say, listen, it could be like 11 from Stranger Things. That's fine.
Okay, and then 7.
I'll say you can do the powers too. We'll tell you that we'll do the powers.
And then 7, she comes and she says, I know I'm not a girl. I want to be a boy now.
She learn how to read now. Now she learn how to read.
I want you to refer to me as he. What would you say? Would you say no?
You are no son of mine. I think it's all fun and games until it's your kid.
Exactly.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm saying, if it's your kid,
it's all fun and games. I think everyone's gonna be like, yeah, or people be in the comments like, oh, how could you do that? Oh, you're so transphobic or whatever, right? And until it's their kid come to them saying, oh yeah, I want to be Sam, I want to be Toby. That's when they're gonna have a different story.
It's always going to be difficult because as a parent, when you have your children, everybody envisions,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Everyone envisions, I'm going to have, when the doctor tells you you're having a baby boy or a baby girl, we immediately go back to the conditioning of blue, pink, Barbies, all this kind of thing. Some people like to think they're a bit quirky by being like, oh no, my daughter's gonna go to karate lessons or whatever. But the bottom line is everybody has a plan for their child.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've come to realise is that every child born is their own damn person with their own feelings and their own vibe.
So what are you doing?
You can only do so much to influence. Once you drop them at school, they're being influenced differently by other people. They ultimately need to make their own decisions.
So your daughter comes to you at 5.
It would hurt. It would probably pain me, not gonna lie. Deep inside me and who I am as a person, it's gonna be like, no, like I don't want to do this. Like I don't. But I know from experience that the best thing you can do is support your children, because the worst thing you can do is not support them and leave them out there cold and dry to figure things out on their own, because shit is not pretty when that happens. You need to support. And I'm not even just saying that because I'm on Shannon's podcast and I want to look cute. I'm saying it because it's the truth.
I'm just being...
It's the truth. It will hurt. It will hurt. I'm not gonna lie. Shannon, wouldn't it even hurt you a little bit?
No, because I know. I want to have 6 kids.
That's because Shannon's already transgender. That's why.
Shannon said she wants to have 6 kids, so at least 3 of them are gonna act right.
Whatever. I feel like as a parent, you have to expect that your child could be gay, your child could be trans, and all of those things are okay.
But you know, I think most parents...
If you try and repress your child, they might do what they say, but at the end of the day, there's going to be resentment there, and then you're going to wonder why your child doesn't like you.
Yeah, I mean, with me, like, I think with most people, not most people, actually,
I think you need to speak for yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out and say, I'm gonna speak for myself, and I'm gonna say for most people as well.
Unhappy. And to know that I'm making them unhappy.
Most people want their girls to be girls, and boys to be boys. Heterosexual girl, heterosexual guys.
I've got another question. Do you think it's mostly because, obviously, I do understand Mario, I think he is religious, and he comes from that background.
Barely.
Whatever. Regardless, he might not have Christian, all the way Christian morals, but I believe he's a Christian. And, even though we've become, lots of countries, are supporting like trans rights and stuff like that, and there's progression and stuff like that. The world isn't really that progressive as a world. There's still high suicide rates for trans people. There's still high murder rates for trans people, especially black trans women. The murder rate is very high. Do you think most of it is because of like religious influence, or because it's very new, or do you think some people are scared? Because if you think about it, if everybody, especially if you have a black trans child, and that the murder rate is so high for black trans people, do you think some of it comes from the fear that they won't be accepted in society and that they're going to have a difficult life if they go through being trans, rather than them living a cis life?
I think it's a mixture of everything. I feel like this world is just built on fear. When it comes to the wars that we've had, there's always kind of been some religious undertone to it, or at least, might have been something else that we don't know about, but religion has always kind of been used to sway the people, because that's what everybody's been conditioned to do, to worship whatever. And all these religious studies all say that being gay or being anything other than what you were assigned at birth, and if you're a woman and you're not cooking, you're cleaning, you're evil, you're the devil. If you're not doing this, you're the devil. Everything is just, is bad if you don't do what we say. So it is fear of what other people think and how other people might view. And it's, it's not just religion, it's racism as well, and it is homophobia as well. And a lot of people group, the LGBT with the trans issue, but I've met a lot of cis gay and bi people who are very transphobic. So I think it should be looked at as a separate issue rather than lumped together with the LGBTQ. Because there's still a lot of transphobia. I'm still don't shoot the message. I'm still because I've seen a lot of transphobia within the LGBT community.
But I feel like in this day and age, the way that you know, it's almost like taboo to sort of, not, I wouldn't say hate because that's a strong word, but to disrespect or do anything against this community, you know.
It's not taboo.
It's not taboo.
It's not taboo. People just have a voice to kind of like,
they have more
worldwide forum now, Instagram to voice their opinions, but nothing actually is changing.
It's just like
and they have these forums,
and
they've got these communities, and they've got these places that they can go to for these meetups and stuff like that. So there's so much more access for them to be able to go to. Before, like about 10 years ago, there would be no, like, for example, they couldn't go on Google and per se find like maybe they could a transgender bar or transgender Mondays or something like, or transgender Tuesdays where they've got a place to go every week.
There are things like that, but then people go in there and kill them. People literally purposely target these people in their own areas and in their own
but the murder rate is still high. You can't dispute that. The murder
Yeah, but he's saying that maybe if they go to like their own bars and their own kind of places, it will lessen the load. But I'm saying people go to these places.
Yeah. I'm not saying it will lessen the load. I'm just saying that now they've got more places to go to, whereas before they didn't, and maybe they was having to mingle with places where they didn't really want to go to, but it's like, where else can they go?
Well, if you can't go to Belenanches, where can you go?
I just wanted to say, like, obviously the argument that you know, children aren't mature. As a 7-year-old, did you have a concept of your own identity, at least the inkling of your own identity at 7?
Mm-hmm.
So then, how can you say that it'd be too immature?
What do you mean?
That children would be too immature to know that they're trans.
Oh, you got me. Oh, you got me.
At 7, I knew I was
No, but the thing is, that's not 5. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay, we'll say 7 then. 7.
But at 5 years old, I knew I liked guys. I knew
at 5, I knew I was a girl.
I loved Aaron Carter. I
knew I was a girl. I knew my sexuality. All of those things. And then at 7, I was 100% sure.
But at the same time, being that age, you're still open to a lot of outside influence. You can still be influenced very heavily.
Yeah, by television and things like that. But exactly. That's where the argument of like the trans community and the community where they also want to be a part of that influence if we are part if we're also influencing heterosexual behaviour. So I get that. I just think that none of it should be influenced. And kids should just be able to be kids, because like you said, I feel like it's not stupid, but I feel like
you can still be a kid and know about sexuality and gender. I feel like it's not this whole big secretive thing that needs.
It's not a big secretive thing, but I feel like as a kid, like you said, at 5 years old, I knew I liked guys. I knew I found boys attractive. That's just how I felt. It's just something that's obviously second nature to you because it's you. It's your preference. You know, I think whether the TV has Britney Spears or whoever it is dancing in oil and like have either screaming girls or screaming guys around them, you're gonna find what you find attractive because you are you.
Yeah, there's
not much influence that can be done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I can see where everybody wants to be involved in that influence that people are talking about, but I just feel like you kind of know already, So let's just do innocent kid things and not actually have to talk about this until our sats.
Not even talk about it. Like, I just feel like this should be independent research.
Yeah, but I think all of that's cool and dandy. But then the thing is, if your child is coming to you,
if your child is coming to you, you have to just deal with it when you get to. What can you do? What can you do? You're going to bid them. You're bid that bango. You're getting a sham, man. No.
Me personally, I'm just being real, yeah. I can only speak for myself. Like, if my son came up to me and was like he wants to be a girl, and my girl came up to me if he wants to be a guy, and to be fair, it sounds quite bad, but I'd prefer if a girl came up to me and said she wants to be a guy, and then a guy came up to me and said she wants to be a female. Maybe because I'm a guy, yeah, I'm just going to be honest. I'm being real. I ain't going to lie to the podcast. You know what I'm saying? I'm being honest. I'm sure there's people out there listening that probably feel the same way, and I'm sure there's people out there be thinking that this guy is crazy. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I would do my best to try and, if there is a little bit of the original sex that was given in there, to try and get it out of them. Do you know what I'm saying? So if they're a guy, I'll take him to go and watch, you know, a football match at Man United.
And how long would you
let them know?
How long would you try and reinforce that?
I'll try a couple of years. I'll try a couple of years. Let's say I'll try that for like 2 years, right?
So how old would they be in your eyes at this point?
Alright, this one. Now let's say they're 5, now they're 7. No, let's say they're 7, now they're 9 there. Now they're 9 years old, 10 years old, right? Mm-hmm. At that point, I'm gonna just fall back, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna fall back. Let them do what they're gonna do, you know what I'm saying? I won't really get too much involved. And then we'll sit down and have the conversation. When they get into year 11, get in secondary school and sit down and have the conversation. At that point, their mind's a little bit different, you know what I'm saying? They've had more experiences in life, they've seen more, you know what I'm saying? We'll sit down and have that conversation. I feel like when you're 11 getting into 12 years old, you know, you can start to, you know, you can start building that that sense of independence, you know what I'm saying? So either way, they still need me until at least they're 16.
And he's still, he's still going to be still dragging them to all these football
games. That's how they run away.
And then you got dragged to church.
But you know what? But like I said,
what if in that process they actively refuse?
Like I said, if it is that thing that actively refuse, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna hurt me. What choice have I got to do? If that's my kid, that's my kid. I've got no choice. How many refuses
will it take for you to be like, okay?
You know what? I'll keep taking him to these to the shows until he refuses to go. Until he tells me that I ain't trying to do this thing. That's when I'll be like.
So the first refusal would it be?
It depends on the refusal. If it's if it's like a nah, like almost trying to fight me sort of, then it's like then we'll sit down and have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? They can always come to your house and they say,
but then what? And I'll happily accept them. You disown your kids.
No, like I said. At that point,
like he said, he's gonna drop out your house.
I can't do anything. You know what I'm saying? I just have to deal with it. For me, and I guess for a lot of people as well that feel this way, is the continuation of your family. You know what I'm saying? The continuation of your family. So for them to not want to continue the family, it's like, you know.
But that's their own business.
It's not their own business because
they didn't want to. Huh? They didn't want to save their
well, you know, hopefully I'm still young, I can reproduce and go again, but at that point, that's when I'll just be like, you know, I'll be very upset, you know what I'm saying? I'll be very upset at that point. Because I don't know why.
Isn't that selfish?
It's not, it's selfish.
Where has this conversation gone, please?
I understand.
Why are we talking about Chris? Why are we talking about Chris' trans daughter not wanting to have kids? And how that's going to upset him. You live in the Stone Age for real. Like, it's crazy.
Nah. I feel like I'm being very logical.
No, because if you as yourself, if mum and dad were like, we're not going to do this and this for you unless you marry this person and only this person, you wouldn't be happy with that.
But like I said, it's like I haven't got no like I'll have to accept it. That's all. You have no choice. You have no choice.
So let's just do our finishing argument. So,
but you get what I'm saying.
Instead of like, I wouldn't say like encourage, I'd say support, because I think again encouraging and stuff is loaded language. I think most of the time it isn't like you're sitting your child down and interrogating them on their gender. Most of the time, you know, most people assign their child the gender that correlates to their sex, but then most of the time it's a thing where the child comes up to you and expresses that they're not happy with their assigned gender. So I feel like in that case, yes, I would support my child. Whatever age there was, I'd let them explore. I personally would support them and allow them and encourage them to explore their gender. Yes, it could be a phase, but you know, I don't think it's that serious if you refer to your child as their preferred pronouns, whether it's just for a year, whether they do decide that they're firm in that they are trans. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I don't think that there's any psychological effects later down the line. I think if there's any psychological problems down the line, it's because that your child has been repressed and not been able to express or explore who they are. I think that's where the real psychological issues come from. Yeah.
I agree with that, Shannon. I agree with that statement 100%. Cheers to that.
And do you want to say something?
Yeah.
Keep it nice and sweet and short.
I mean, like I said, I think that I'll try to do my best to, just to make them understand the situation, and make them really sure that they want to be what they want to be. If it's a thing, like I said, I want my guys to be guys, I want my girls to be girls, and I'll do all the best I can for them to feel that way. And if it's a thing where it's not the case and then they really believe this, I have no choice but to accept it and to support it. What else can I do?
And to educate yourself so you don't make ignorant statements to your own children.
Yeah. So let me know your thoughts on the situation, and your thoughts on whether we should support transgender kids, what you would do if you were in that situation. And till next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.